Oh, I know, Kim.
Yeah, they're good people to work with.
Hello, hello. Yo, we're working. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Pam Demoff, and I'm the Member of Parliament for Oakville North Burlington, but today I'm here as the Parliamentary Secretary to our Minister of Public Safety, Marco Mendicino. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're on the traditional territory of the Katzie and Kwantlen First Nations. While we acknowledge the land we're on, we also must acknowledge the impact colonialism has had on Indigenous peoples. With today's announcement, I reflect on the fact that Indigenous women are the fastest growing prison population in Canada. Indigenous children are vastly overrepresented in foster care, which is a pipeline to prison. And Indigenous gangs formed in Western Canada are a direct result of colonization. I want to thank the mayors with me here today, Kelowna Mayor Tom Diaz and Mayor Victor Cumming from Vernon, as well as the partners that are here today. The chair of the school board from Kelowna, I see, is here, and we have a Kelowna councillor here. Today is a chance to talk about how we can be proactive in preventing young people from getting involved in a life of crime. I want to thank Tom and Victor, as well as the mayors of Kamloops, Penticton, and Salmon Arm, for their ongoing efforts. We had an opportunity to chat before we came out here today, and I am truly, truly impressed with the approach that the communities are taking when it comes to young people. It's something that I'm quite confident will make a difference. Gun violence creates a burden of injury on communities that has devastating impacts. This is an issue I've worked on since I was elected, and I'm proud to be here today as we take steps to prevent violent crime and gun violence here in the interior of British Columbia before it starts. Gun violence is a public health issue that requires a multi-pronged approach. There isn't one easy solution. Gun control is an important part of the solution, and I will never shy away from the actions our government has taken to try and limit access to firearms. Because having a gun in the home leads to more gun deaths. It leads to more suicides, it leads to more femicides, and yes, it leads to more gun crime. That's why we introduced Bill C-21 to further combat gun violence in our communities. It will expand license revocation and increase penalties for firearms trafficking and smuggling, amongst other tools. Last October, we brought in a national freeze on handguns through regulations in the Firearms Act. In addition, we're stopping guns from crossing the border by investing in the border, with $651 million in Budget 2021, as well as almost $124 million ongoing to modernize the Canadian Border Services agencies. These are historic investments, but just as important is investing in communities. We know we can't arrest our way out of the problems on our streets and in our communities, and that's why we're steadfast in our commitment to focus on the grassroots causes of gun violence. We know gun violence is a tragic reality across our country, and we know that it has links to gangs and organized crime. But for too long, we've neglected addressing the root cause, and that's why we're making efforts to change that. And that's why we're here today, because everyone deserves to be safe in their community, to make sure that sense of security and safety isn't shattered. We're providing funding directly to municipalities and Indigenous communities through a $250 million federal program called the Building Safer Communities Fund. The fund builds on the success of our 2018 investment of over $358 million. Local efforts, grassroots and community efforts that I've heard about here today can address the social conditions that lead to criminal behavior. We need to get to the root of the problem. I'm particularly pleased when we had a conversation. The focus here is going to be on young people, on education, and reaching them in the schools. I think getting to the kids at that age when they're in school and providing programs, whether it's recreation or culture, is going to make a huge difference. So today, I'm pleased to announce that the BC Interior will receive up to $6.9 million under the Building Safer Communities Fund. Kelowna will be receiving $2 million, Vernon $953,000, and in addition, Kamloops is getting $2 million, Penticton just over $1 million, and Salmon Arm is getting $828,000. There are incredible organizations here working with youth, and I look forward to hearing how the funds will be used to support them to divert them from a life of crime. The funding will tackle the root causes of gun crime, and we're taking a targeted approach. Our partners with us here today, and I thank them for being here. I have no doubt we'll be doing the good work that is needed for these young people. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today, but quite honestly, more importantly, for the good work that you're doing. You're going to make a difference in the lives of these young people, and together we're going to make a difference for your communities. So thank you so much for having me here today. Thanks a lot.
So very, very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Beautiful words.
And I think
I'm going to say just a few
yeah,
words.
you are. And I'm going to turn it over to the mayor to say a few words. It's hard when you MC and you speak, and sometimes you forget things. Sorry, Tom.
No, you've been doing a very good job with it, definitely. We're just speaking inside before we had come out that as maybe chilly or as little bit of as cold as it is out here, what a very appropriate place it is to do this announcement with a playground in the background, knowing that it ends up being, what the funding is meant for. So I just want to start and say good morning, everyone, and a very, very special welcome to our Parliamentary Secretary, Pam Damoff. Pam has come out today to make this announcement with the intentions of helping communities throughout our region and basically, taking care of youth, which are extremely important to us, that upstream effect that we need to deal with within our community. So Pam Damoff, thank you so very much for being here with us today. I'd also like to mention Victor, as Pam had mentioned, is here with Vernon as they're part of the program also. Councillor Ron Cannon is here with us. Also School Board Trustee Leanne Teed is here with us. And School District Superintendent Kevin Cardell is also here with us. Secretary Damoff, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us in Kelowna this morning to celebrate this federal funding announcement through the Building Safer Communities Fund that is going to benefit all our communities and the neighboring communities. The City of Kelowna is very grateful to the Government of Canada for the over $2 million investment we will receive over 4 years. I am pleased to share that we have a youth gang prevention and reduction strategy currently under development that is facilitating a regional partnership program through the Central Okanagan Public School System, the RCMP, and the City of Kelowna. The program seeks to interrupt the pathways that can lead to high-risk, vulnerable youth toward gun and gang involvement. The focus on engagement in youth and young adults coincides with our community safety plan's purpose to address the risk and protective factors underlying crime, vulnerability, and harm in Kelowna. We spend a great deal of time and energy on law enforcement and other downstream effects to address violence and crime in our community. Those things, they are critically important, of course, but we also must turn our attention to the long-term preventative efforts like the Youth Gang Prevention and Reduction Strategy as a tool to address crime and criminal behaviors in the community at an earlier stage. Gun and gang violence affects communities across the country, and we appreciate how the Building Safer Communities Funds seeks to address that issue at its core. It will make a big difference in the lives of youth at risk as the program continues to develop over the next 4 years with this funding announcement today. I would like again to express my sincere thanks on behalf of Kelowna and all of the regions to Parliamentary Secretary Pam Demoff and the Ministry of Public Safety's Canada for proactively making this funding available to help protect our youth throughout our communities. We appreciate this investment in Kelowna. It will help make our community an even more vibrant and safe place to live where young people can grow up and thrive. We are eager to move forward in a partnership and continue the relationship with the Central Okanagan School District and the RCMP to finalize the strategy and put it into action for our communities. Secretary, thank you so much for being with us today and the announcement. Victor, also thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Victor, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yep, no, well, I can say a couple of minutes.
Sure.
So, good morning. It's a luxury to do this kind of work in a regional basis, and so it's great to be here this morning. We interact regularly with Kelowna on a whole number of issues, as we do with Lake Country and Penticton. So many of these issues are regional issues. They're not central to a community issue. We've had a very significant, you mentioned gun violence. We've had the RCMP doing a significant sweep here in just the last 2 weeks. We know this is an issue. We know it's here. This kind of federal support makes a significant difference for us. We are working similarly to Kelowna with agencies and those who know the youth at risk, and that's where we need to get to focus our energy at the front end of these issues before they emerge more significantly. So thank you very much, Pam. Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone, this morning. It's great to give somebody a warm welcome as we stand out of here at -1 on a mid-March day. So anyway, a warm welcome to the Okanagan, and thank you for your support. Thank you.
I should add, too, this is not matching funding. So a lot of times federal dollars require municipalities to match the funds. They don't have to with this one. So I think we'll take some questions. Raina, is that right? Yeah, sure. Where do you want us to stand? Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Gosh, I'm so sorry. No, it's
your energy were incorrect. That's all.
You know, and the reality of it is the only people who kind of pick that stuff up. Pick that stuff up.
I would leave it because
okay.
Tom did a good job with it. Or you can say Judah. Sure. Feel free.
I actually do. I was given the wrong notes when I opened acknowledging the territory we on, and I do think it's important that we recognize the proper one. The mayor did a good job, and I want to apologize coming into British Columbia and not getting that right. So it is the traditional ancestral unceded territory of the Silex and Okanagan people. So I see somebody with a microphone.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Actually, it might direct it to our mayor.
Yep.
Could you describe, I don't know, it's capable that could you describe in any more detail how this
So the program is a coordination of efforts between the school district, and one of the ways, Kent, that it will make contact with children is that coordination through the school district, with them being involved and their participation in this with the RCMP and the city of Kelowna. They are having that upstream ability to connect with the school district and individuals that they are aware of that there's potential concerns about at an early stage. So that is one of the trigger points that allows early access and them seeing that there's a possible situation that arises at that stage. And then what is happening right at this point in time is the building of that program, how they recognize those individuals. Once they do recognize those individuals, what is the steps in the process that they take to starts to correct the path that that person is on or that individual is on. So it really becomes that upstream program to save what is, you know, a downstream effect. You want to take it?
For those who understand this well, social programming is a provincial responsibility, as is education. So we have established programs from those envelopes that are already working inside this series of issues that Mayor Diaz has indicated. It's getting to kids in that 12 to 18 age group before they move into these systems that really cause grief in the long term. So what this does is provides us to partner with existing activities and enhance activities that are already semi-underway in our communities, but now it can be targeted and focused and use this as a combination of resources with activities that are in general, or organizations in general, who already identify this as an issue and already are working with this group of youth. So yes, it's more not a direct match, but boy, this is a concern for us right across the community, and other agencies and organizations already understand that. Thank you.
Okay. I can't hear you. Sorry, I'm not a minister either. That's okay.
That's good.
There was an extremely large capture from the RCMP of guns, arsenals, drugs as well, just about 2 weeks ago. Are you able to speak to that and the partnership with the RCMP that really this funding will help?
So this funding is going to the community, not to the RCMP.
I guess my question would be like practically. We've talked a lot about the partners with the RCMP, the school district. How does that look practically? Are you going into schools? Are you partnering with the RCMP along with the school district to speak to students or?
So it's really a question more for the mayors. So this funding is designed that each community can determine what is best for their community. So what works in Vernon and Kelowna is going to be different than what works in Maple Ridge. It's going to be different than what works in Calgary or in Oakville and Halton Region, my community. So it's designed that each community can choose the programs that best serve them. In terms of, you talked about the gun seizure, I think that's a good example of how we need law enforcement doing the work that they're doing in terms of seizing guns. We know that ghost guns are a rising problem. I met with the Vancouver PD a few months ago about the increase in ghost guns, or the 3D printed guns. So law enforcement stopping guns from coming across the border. But if we make it not cool to be involved with guns and give young people positive role models and positive social experiences, you're getting to the root of the problem by giving those kids the opportunity to avoid being involved in gangs or crime in the first place. So I don't know if the mayors want to add anything.
Thank you, Pam. I think to add to that, just there will be different ways that different communities work with this. As Victor and I were speaking just earlier to this, a lot of the way that they are rolling out their particular program is working with a number of the service providers and establishing through the service providers and their contacts within the community. There would be elements of that Kelowna would build into it, but initially it is a relationship that is established with the school district and the RCMP and the city of Kelowna. So there will be differences in the communities, but as Victor alluded to, there will be great communication between the mayors, and knowing that this is something that is important to all of our regions, and this was regional funding to help, because if we address something in one particular community but don't address it in all the communities, then it just basically moves a little down the street a little ways. So this is a way to try to address it throughout our whole region.
Just a question for both mayors. When might we see these programs implemented in their communities?
Yeah. Go ahead. I think that's a good answer for you, and I can.
I know within our community, and Victor can speak to the same, is that there was programs that are already underway. They've already been in the works for about a year, realizing the importance of this, but also hoping that the funding would continue to come through to help us, and the good news is that it has. So it's allowed for us to continue to develop those. So they're already underway at this point in time, and they're going to continue to just be more refined over the next few years and initiated into our communities. Victor, anything else?
It's always not good to stand in front of Mike and say Kelowna's ahead of us, but they are. We're in the design stage now. Now that we've had confirmation for the funding, we've been working over the last 60 days to finalize our programming. So we'll be underway come this summer. So we're just a step behind, but it sure is good to have the confirmation that we're underway. Thanks.
So the funding overall is being, communities are being chosen based on statistical data, crime data, per capita, and so Public Safety Canada is reviewing all of that and to determine which communities across the country get the funding and how much. So it's a very statistical breakdown. So that's how it was determined. I will say these communities, just hearing their programs, you're very fortunate to have these people running these communities and designing these programs, I am really confident that it's going to make a difference for the kids in the community.